And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look at a game called VivaJava, which has really one of the best covers I've seen in board games in a long time. This is a game about growing and distributing coffee, making great coffee blends, and the cover of this game really brings it out. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that it's 3 to 8 players. Now, there's a lot of games that are 3 to 8 players, but this is one of the few heavier games, I think, that goes up to 8 players. Does that mean it's a good thing? Well, let's look. There's a lot going on in this game, so we're not going to cover everything. We're just going to cover some of the basic concepts. First of all, we want to talk about coffee brands and flavors. You can see there's a couple coffee brands and flavors right here. We have 745 AM and we have Average Joe. 745 AM is made up of 3 green beans and 2 yellows. Average Joe is made up of 4 red beans and 1 brown bean. And I know it's hard to tell the difference here, but they are different colors. Now, each of the different coffee flavors is a certain kind. So the 3 green and 2 yellows is Americano, and the 4 red and the 1 brown, then that one is a bold. You can see it's 4 of one and 1 of another. And so you can see basically here that these are kind of like poker hands: 5 of a kind, 4 of a kind, full house, a straight, 3 of a kind, 2 pairs, and a pair. And that shows you which flavors are better than other flavors. And then if there's a tie, then the black bean is the best quality bean, all the way down to the white bean, which is the lowest quality bean. And so as the game progresses, you'll be making other ones. At the beginning of each turn, players are going to be looking at this board here, and they're going to be taking their pawns and placing their pawns on different spots here. Now, these spots have 2 things. One, it gives you the bean that's at the bottom of that spot. And the bean that's at the bottom of that spot is determined by these colors of the flavor that's placed up there. Also, it gives you a special ability that you can take, or in the case of this one, you have to take. Here, this one is going to make me lose 1 performance point, or a point in the course of the game. This one here gives me an extra bean. This one here makes me lose a research point. And so there's all different ones that you have to figure out which one to go to. And you say, well, why would you ever go to the bad ones? Well, you might because you have to, determining how many players in the game. Fewer of these are available. In like a 5-player game, for example, this one wouldn't even be here. Or you might want that color bean, or you might want to go to that region. See, there's each of the 3 are in their own region, because after everyone has put them out and got their beans and whatever the special things let them do, then each of the people in that region, so here, let's say, for example, the black, white, and the red player have come, and these guys, white guy can't stand up, there we go. These guys are all going to decide together whether they're going to blend or research. If they blend, they are going to build a blend here. Now, you see this blend already has 1 brown bean in it, so they're going to have to put 4 other beans in it, and they do that because all their beans are in a bag. And so you'll start the game with some beans in your bag, and as the game progresses, you'll get more and more beans in your bag, and each player must contribute at least 1 bean to the mix, but you can contribute more, and you can pick the turn order that you pull them out. And so you pull them out, and so let's say, for example, in this case, the players got super lucky, and they pulled out 4 white beans. At that point, the bean thing is brought down here to the bottom, where it's going to be added to the mix, and we compare it to the other ones. And we say, well, it's definitely better than this one. And here it's the same as that one, and 4 reds beats 4 whites. So here it goes. Here it's a swell mix rather than the top cup. And each player who was involved with the mix, in this case it was black, white, and red, puts one of their tokens on to show that they have interest in that flavor. Because one of the things that's going to happen at the end of each turn is 1 bean is going to come off. These are going to decay. People aren't going to like these as much anymore. And you always take the worst bean off, but that's going to possibly change things. And in this instance, it would change, because cup of diem now would be less than this one. This is 3 green as opposed to 3 white. And so that one would go to the top above that one. And players are going to score points for each token that they have on one of the matching coffees that will give them points. So that's what players can do. They can go together and make a coffee blend. Players can also instead research, and over here they have a research board, or if you want to play a simpler game, you can use a smaller research board. But these research boards are important because you'll have tokens of your color that will start over here, and each time you research you get 3 points, and you'll be able to move these along, and as they cross each of these lines they will give you a special ability. Like for example, when you take a bean, take extra beans. When you draw beans from the bag, place one aside, or put one back and draw again. Draw cards from a special little card deck that gives you special abilities that you can play. Lets you invest in someone else's bean, gives you one of these tokens, and you can invest in a bean that you didn't have any part in making. And also, let's see if we can focus there, you can see that when you get to each level, there's also points that you will gain at the end of the game. And when you get to the final one, sometimes they give you even better points or a pretty good special ability. So players are going to go back and forth on this. Players can also give up their points that they're gaining here. They can give up these performance points as more research points if you want to. And that's an important thing because most of the things in this game are done in turn order, and turn order is determined by how many points you have and then whoever is on the top of each of the stacks. And so, like I said, each of these is going to decay, and then you're going to go to another turn. You will, up here, you'll slide some beans over and add new ones, and another round will begin. And this will continue to go until one of the game-ending victor conditions, which involves this stack running out or somebody getting their research all the way across on 4 of their lines. And so, this is going to keep going back and forth, and, the other one would be if someone reaches 21 points here. Either way, whoever has the most points at this time is the winner. Remember, points are gotten from controlling these powerful beans, or the beans that people like to drink, getting points from a research track, and getting points from a few other methods. There's also several variants that are included in the game. There's interns, there's different things that you can do to enhance the game in different ways, and they're all included in the box. But this is kind of just a basic overview of how the game works. VivaJava got fairly mixed reactions from the people that I've played it with. Let's talk about one of the things that a big detriment to the game, and that is the actual the components themselves. Now don't get me wrong, the components are fantastic. Everything that comes in the game is really nice looking. However, the little coffee beans, which are kind of hard to pick off the table by the way, but be that aside, the red and the brown ones are almost indistinguishable. I mean, I guess if you have super bright lighting, but if you're in any kind of room with any kind of lighting problems at all, we were constantly looking at them trying to determine them apart. And even the green and the black ones, in less than stellar lighting, you'll have a problem with. For colorblind people, I don't even want to imagine what the problems are between looking at all this stuff. And I felt like that's a big detriment to the game because we were constantly having problems with that. That being said, the rest of the graphical look of the game, I've already mentioned how much I like the box, but the rest of it looks really good. I like the way that it has this old-timey, very clean feel to it. It was a very well graphically designed game. Gameplay itself, well, I think the rules take it, they said it at some points, well, everyone can go at the same time because turn order doesn't matter. Turn order matters immensely in this game because there's so many times where I'm going to do something based on what someone else does, and we were like, oh, I'll do this first. No, I'll do that first. So eventually we just said, forget this. We're going to go in turn order because there's no way to do these things simultaneously. The gameplay has a lot of options. There's a lot of things. I like anything that has a tech tree to it, and I like that a lot. But overall, the game just, for me, it was a decent game. It was fun, but there was nothing gripping that would make me want to come back to it time and time again. And the big group of players thing, I was expecting all kinds of negotiation and back and forth, but in reality, you're just kind of working together to get the best bean you can, and then that kind of comes down to dumb luck from drawing from the bags. Now, I like a drawing from a bag aspect. Thebes is one of my favorite games where you draw a tile from a bag and put it on the board, and I love that aspect of exploring. Here, though, it can be so critically destructive to your gameplay. The rainbow flavor doesn't decay, and that's a really big thing. So anyone who gets a rainbow flavor out really has a strong advantage, and the only way that they're going to be stopped is if someone else gets one. But it's really hard to luckily get one of those, even with all the different technologies advanced to get the right beans. So it sounds like I'm really hating on this game, and I'm not. Although there was a few people I played with who really wanted to kick the table over. That's how much they disliked it. I think some aspects of the game are really neat. I like the poker hand aspect of the coffee beans and how you're trying to make the best poker hand that you can with these beans to have the best brands out there. I like the fact that you know when to invest in someone else's coffee beans. I like the technology tree. I'm not sure this works well with every number of players. I tried it with 3, with the variation with the interns. I didn't mention that, but there's these interns you can add, and that's interesting. But I'm wondering if the game is best with the maximum number of players. Because a lot of times we play games where we're playing with 4, 5, or 6 people. When I played this game with 6 people, it went well, but it just felt a little off. I don't know how to explain it. So, what's my final opinion on this? I like it. I do. It was fun. It was enjoyable. But it didn't give me the feeling when we played it that the rules made me. I thought we'd have this fun negotiation game going back and forth fighting, and it wasn't. It was more about just helping yourself out. And if someone else came with you, and at the end of the game, you could sometimes be a kingmaker basically on who you choose to join. Because you could join somebody and deliberately mess their bean mix up on their final thing. Or you could join somebody and help them, or I don't know. It has a few flaws, I think. And I'm not even talking about the design. It wasn't as clean and quick as I felt. And an 8-player game isn't that fast. So I've been reading lots of reports about this on the internet where people are like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm sure that for lots of groups it is. And this is definitely one that I would recommend that you try. Because I don't think it's for everybody. I think some people aren't going to like, especially some people aren't going to like that pulling from the bag thing. They're just going to hate that. Other people are going to really enjoy it, I think. And there is a lot of different variants included in the game to give you that. And it has a really cool look, and it's a great theme. It's not trading in the main training, it's coffee. I like that. So I'm all over the board on this one, and I apologize for that. But hopefully I've given you somewhat of an idea so that you can decide whether it's good for you or not.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.